friends, this is Jessie V. Let's not make fun of my hair today, it's just not wanting to cooperate. Today I have another V time. Today's story is called The Babysitting Disaster. This actually happened to me last year. It was my second year of college and I really needed to earn some extra money. So luckily my parents knew this couple with 2 young kids who really needed a babysitter. So I was like, I'll do it. How hard can it be? I can do this. It's just 2 kids. Psh. Little did I know. Little did I know. So on my first day of babysitting, I headed over to the house and I met the parents and they were really nice people and they introduced me to the kids. And these kids were so adorable. They were so cute. There was a little boy, let's just call him Ben. Ben was probably about 2. He was very tiny and he had this little like blonde short hair. It was so cute. And then there was their daughter, let's just call her Jenna. She was probably about 6. She had glasses, little ponytails, very cute as well. So you know how kids get really excited like when they see someone new? Well, they saw me like walking over and they were like, oh my goodness, a person! Ah, another human! Oh my goodness, come play with me, come play with me! They were super excited to see me and that made me happy because I'm like, I must look so cool. I must be the bomb right now. So I had brought some crafts with me because, you know, if we ever got bored, I'd have something up my sleeve. Anyway, the minute the parents closed the door behind them, I turned around to look at the kids and Jenna was like, my name is Jenna and I'm the boss when my parents are not home. I know everything. I know everything. And I was like, oh my goodness. She has a mouth. So I was like, okay, Jenna, why don't we do some crafts or something? Do you want to do some crafts? I am the best drawer in my class. I always get A+ in art class. And I was like, well, that's good then. Let's do some crafts. We're doing these crafts and I noticed that Jenna finishes very quickly. And I look over and I'm like, Jenna, what did you draw? I drew a picture of you. Oh, really? Can I see it? And she pulls up this page she was working on and it's a picture of me with a mustache, a unibrow, and she drew herself beside me hitting me in the head with something. And I was like, Jenna, what are you hitting me with? A spatula. It's a spatula. Oh, okay. Aren't you creative? Aren't you creative? Anyways, after the scary crafts were done, Jenna and Ben told me they wanted to watch Thomas the Train. So I had to pretend that I was like enjoying myself because if I looked away for 1 second, Jenna was like, you're missing the show. You're missing the show. Jess, you're missing the show. Do you have something against Thomas the Train? So eventually watching Thomas the Train made Jenna very hungry and she was like begging me to make her food. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this girl a bagel. So as I was heading to the fridge to get a bagel, I turned to Ben and I'm like, Ben, do you want any food? And he looked at me and he was like, Ben, are you sure you don't want any food? Are you sure? I don't want food. I don't want food. And I was like, okay. Alright, I'll just go make Jenna food then. So I made her this beautiful cream cheese bagel and I gave it to her and she went and sat down beside her brother. And the minute she took a bite into her bagel, her brother was like, I want a bagel! I want a bagel! And I was like, Ben, you just said you didn't want a bagel. No, I want a bagel like Jenna! And like I had literally just put away all my supplies. But you know, I was a nice babysitter. So I was like, you know what, Ben? I will get you a bagel, Ben. So I made him a bagel and he like had like one tiny bite of it and was like, I'm done. And I was like, great, that's such a waste of food. So it's nearing bedtime and I'm trying to get them, you know, settled down, but friggin' Jenna over here was like, watch me do cartwheels, watch me do cartwheels. And I'm thinking like, we're in this tiny little TV room. Where the hell are you gonna do cartwheels? But without me even saying yes or no, she started doing cartwheels. She did so many cartwheels that afterwards she almost threw up. Like she probably did about 20 cartwheels back and forth until she was like, oh my goodness, too many cartwheels. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, Jenna, why don't you just sit down for a bit? We're gonna get ready for bed, okay? So the story that I've been telling you up until now is not even the bad part. Bedtime is where the nightmare begins. So while I was going upstairs to put Ben to bed, I gave Jenna some crackers and she sat down, she's eating them. So I bring Ben up, I say, Ben, do you want to go to the washroom before you go to bed? And he said no. And I was like, gosh, I should really send him to the washroom before he goes to bed. But like, every time I tried to bring him to the washroom, he would scream. So I was like, I cannot force this child to go pee. Like, that's just horrible. I'm not gonna be that person. So I put him to bed. And I had to sit with him rubbing his head for like 10 minutes and finally he fell asleep. I was like, thank goodness, one down. One down. So then I went down to Jenna and I was like, Jenna, it's time for bed, let's go upstairs. And of course Jenna was like, Mommy and Daddy let me stay up till midnight every single day. Really, Jenna? Because they told me your bedtime was 8 o'clock. When did they say that? They never say that. Well, Jenna, they actually wrote it down for me right here. Fine, then can I stay up till like 8:30? And I was like, you know what? Why not? The parents aren't gonna be home till around 9:30. I don't think there's any issue with me keeping her up for another half an hour. You know, I want to be that good babysitter that they love. So we got out some books and we sat on the couch and I was reading her some stories. So it was finally 8:30 and I brought her up to her room and she would not stop jumping on the bed. She would not stop jumping on the bed. And the noise woke Ben up. The noise of the bed woke Ben up. So he starts screaming in his room, screaming and crying. So I'm like, Jenna, sit on the bed, get your pajamas on. I'm gonna go deal with your brother. So I sat by his bed for like 5 minutes, rubbed his head again, and he fell asleep. So I went back to Jenna's room and she's like running around. She's so hyper. This little girl was so hyper. So I'm like, Jenna, we agreed that 8:30 you go to bed. So let's get into bed now. I can read you one more story, but you should be going to bed. And she was like, I am not going to bed until you give me more crackers. You only gave me 10 crackers. I usually have 20. Jenna, why didn't you tell me this while we were reading downstairs? It's bedtime now. I'm sorry, it's bedtime. Do you want me to tell my parents that you're a horrible babysitter? Because I will tell them that. And I'm thinking like, this 6-year-old really has a mouth on her. She knows what she's doing. She really does. And I was thinking like, what happened to the previous babysitters? I wonder why they left. So she kept pestering me, so I finally gave in. I was like, okay, Jenna, please make a deal with me, okay? If I give you 10 more crackers, just 10 more crackers, will you go to sleep? And she said yes. So I was like, Jenna, we have to be very quiet going down the stairs because we don't want Ben to wake up, okay? And as we were going down the stairs, she yells, crackers! I'm gonna have crackers! And Ben wakes up and starts screaming. He's like, I want crackers too! I was like, oh my, they're not paying me enough for this. So I took them both down and gave them crackers. They were down there eating their crackers for like 15 minutes. They ate their crackers so slow, and I knew they were doing that on purpose. I knew that they were thinking, if I eat these crackers really slow, I wouldn't have to go to bed. They were delaying their time. So after the crackers, I bring them back upstairs, put Ben back asleep again for the 3rd time after rubbing his head, put Jenna in bed, turn off her light and say, Jenna, that's it now. Go to bed, please. Because it's already 9 o'clock, the parents are gonna be home in half an hour. I need these kids sleeping by the time they get home. So finally, both their lights are off. I think that they're both sleeping. I'm like, everything is okay now. So I walk downstairs and I turn on the TV and I'm just relaxing. I'm just completely relaxing. And all of a sudden, from upstairs, I hear, I have to poop! I have to poop! And Jenna walks down the steps and looks at me and says that she has to poop. And I'm thinking, can't 6-year-olds just go poop on their own? But anyway, I was like, okay honey, let's go poop. So I bring her up to the washroom. She sits on the toilet. And I go to turn around because I'm not gonna watch this girl poop. And she's like, where are you going? You have to stay here. You gotta stay here and watch me poop. Mom always stays and watches me poop. And I was like, well, I'll stay here, but I'll turn around so I'll just turn around. And so we settled on that and I turn around. And while she's pooping, she's telling me about her day at school. And it's the weirdest thing because she like talks, pauses, drops a poop, and then keeps talking, and it goes on like that for about 5 minutes. And I was thinking, this is the weirdest conversation I've had ever. So when she's done pooping, I'm looking at the clock and it's 9:15 and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to get this girl to bed. So just as she flushes the toilet, she screams, I'm done pooping! And guess who wakes up? Ben wakes up. Ben screams, gets out of bed, and walks over to the door of his room. So I go up to Ben and I'm like, Ben, what is wrong? Guess what he tells me? He tells me he needs to poop. So I'm thinking, I told you children to poop an hour ago, and you said you didn't want to. So I'm thinking, I gotta make this fast. Ben has to poop in like 2 seconds because his mom and his dad are gonna be here very soon. So Ben doesn't sit on, you know, the actual toilet because he's only like 2. So he has one of those like little potty trainers that they're plastic and they just sit on the floor of the washroom. And it's like a bowl, so when they poop and pee in there, you basically have to like dump it into the actual toilet. It's a really gross process. So we walk in there, he needs help like getting his diaper off and everything else. So I put him on the little potty trainer thing, and 5 minutes go by and he hasn't pooped yet. So I'm like, Ben, are you sure you have to go to the washroom? And he just like nods his head at me, so I'm like, okay. I mean, I can't force this child to poop. Like, I can't be like, poop, poop, for goodness sake. So I was just waiting patiently, watching the clock, hoping that I can get Ben into bed before the parents get home. So finally, Ben decides to poop, and he pees at the same time, so I'm thinking, great, 2 in 1, he can go to bed and not be disturbed again. So he's still sitting there, and I'm like, okay, Ben, stand up now, I'm gonna get your diaper on. And he doesn't get up. And I'm like, Ben, we're gonna go now, we're gonna go to bed now, okay? And he goes, I am still pooping. And I was like, Ben, you're not. You're not pooping anymore, you're done. And this child was done. Like, he hadn't pooped for about 3 minutes. Like, he was done. I knew he was done. So I go reach down to help him up off the little potty. And he like, friggin', you know how the little potty is on the floor? He starts like shifting around the washroom on this little potty trainer. So like, he's like almost trying to get away from me as I get closer to him. So because he's kind of dragging this potty on the ground, his poop and pee just go all over the floor. Like, there's poop on that side of the washroom, pee over there, poop, everything's just covered in Ben's potty. The washroom stinks, it is wet, my feet are soaking, I am about to puke. And he still refuses to get off the potty. And I'm thinking, gosh, if this was my little brother, I would just lift him up, put his diaper on, and throw him into bed. But you know what? He wasn't my child. So I couldn't just grab him or do anything because that's not right. So all I could do was say, Ben, please, come on, please, Ben, like, let's go. But he was so stubborn, he did not want to get off the toilet. So I'm looking around all the poop and pee around the toilet, and I hear the worst noise I've ever heard in my life. The doorbell rings. I look at my watch and it's 9:30. And as soon as the doorbell rings, Jenna, she jumps out of bed and she's like, oh, mommy and daddy are here. So here I have this child now jumping on the bed, excited her parents are home. Her lights are on. And I have Ben in the washroom sitting soaking wet in his pee on the little potty trainer with his poop scattered around the washroom. And my feet are soaking wet in his pee. So I go down the stairs, my heart's pounding because I'm like, they will never invite me over again. And I open the door very slowly and I don't let them in yet. I'm kind of standing in their way. And I was like, aren't you guys home early? Aren't you guys home early? And the mom was like, oh no, actually we're home on time. I told you 9:30. Are the kids in bed? And I was like, well, the kids, they were in bed. They were sleeping. And like at this point, the mom's like trying to get past me and I'm like, wait, I need to explain something first, please. But she like pushes past me, walks upstairs, sees the disaster in the washroom. Ben is still on the potty. Jenna is jumping on the bed. She turns around and looks at me and says, it was nice having you, please leave. I was like, what? Why? Like, what did I do? I was trying to be, I brought them crafts. I gave them all the food that they asked for. I read them stories. I let Jenna stay past her bedtime, and yet they still did this to me. Anyway, they have never invited me back, and I have never babysat since that time. I don't know if it was me or the kids or both, but it's probably the kids. It's probably the kids. Anyway, that was my babysitting disaster. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I went home and I told my parents about it and they were like just as horrified as I was. But like now we kind of just laugh about it. But anyway, if you guys have any really horrible babysitting experiences, please put them in the comments. Also, I'm putting my Instagram and my Twitter in the description below, so please follow. Thank you all for the support as usual. You all were absolutely amazing. Until next time, bye guys.